So, it is pitch black. You are standing in the dense woods right at the base of Mount Fuji.
Okay, I can picture that.
Yeah, and the August humidity is just, clinging to your skin. The crickets are absolutely deafening.
Typical Japanese summer night.
Exactly. And through the canopy of the trees, the silhouette of this bright red torii gate suddenly looms out of the dark.
Oh, wow.
Just beyond it, standing in front of this weathered wooden structure, which is the ancient Takakura shrine, there's a campfire crackling.
That is quite the scene to drop us into.
Right. And there is a perfectly round, incredibly bright full moon hanging right above the tree line.
It's a very evocative visual, for sure. You can kind of immediately understand the geographic gravity of the space.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, Mount Fuji isn't just a mountain. It's this massive, dormant stratovolcano that has basically anchored the spiritual geography of the Japanese archipelago for millennia.
It has a heavy presence.
Oh, absolutely.
But around this campfire, you don't have traditional Shinto priests in, white and teal robes.
Right, which is what you might expect at a shrine.
Exactly. Instead, you have this gathering of modern spiritual seekers,
Yeah.
wanderers, DJs, former corporate workers.
People seeking something different.
Yeah, people who have actively stepped out of the conventional rush of Japanese urban life to be right here in the dirt under that moon.
And this brings us to the actual material for our deep dive today.
It does. Our stack of sources today puts us directly into this exact scene.
We have some really incredible primary sources to go through.
We really do. We have raw, unedited audio recordings, lengthy transcripts, and field notes from this specific night.
A night they are explicitly calling a Lion's Gate ceremony.
Yeah, and the audio artifacts alone are just, well, they're fascinating.
They provide this real-time, completely unfiltered window into a highly syncretic ecosystem.
Syncretic meaning like a mashup of different beliefs.
Right. We are observing the real-time collision of localized ancient nature worship with this entirely globalized internet-era New Age cosmology.
We're talking ancient Shinto deities mingling with humpback whale songs.
Oh, the whale songs are my favorite part.
Same here. And questionable alternative history plus multidimensional star portals.
It is quite the cocktail.
It really is. And our aim today is to unpack the mechanics of this cocktail.
We're going to be looking at the linguistic leaps, the historical claims, and the biological realities of what happens when you try to basically hack your way to enlightenment.
It's witty, it's a bit messy, and occasionally the history presented around this campfire demands a really healthy dose of cynicism.
A very healthy dose.
But we aren't here to judge.
No, not at all.
We are here to observe how people build meaning when the orthodox structures of the world no longer serve them.
Which, if you think about it, is perhaps the most enduring human endeavor of all.
How so?
Well, when the old maps fail, we draw new ones, even if we have to, borrow ink from 3 different continents to do it.
That is a great way to put it. But before anyone can open a multidimensional cosmic gateway to the Sirius star system...
Right, the really high-level stuff.
Yeah, before that, there is an inescapable reality captured in the first few hours of this audio.
I love this part.
Me too. Even a massive spiritual ascension requires some highly terrestrial logistics.
The contrast is truly spectacular.
It really is.
Yeah.
So the organizers are explicitly stating that their goal tonight is to channel the energy of a distant star down the human spine to awaken an ancient dragon consciousness.
Which is very high-stakes theology.
Extremely high stakes. You are attempting a physiological and spiritual upgrade for the entire human race.
Right. So you would think the preparation for that involves deep meditation, maybe fasting in silence.
You would definitely assume that.
Yeah.
But the audio actually captures this desperate, whispered, highly stressed conversation about laundry.
Oh, the damp towels.
The damp towels.
Yeah.
The organizers are frantically trying to figure out if the towels used during the morning session have been properly collected from the futon rooms.
Because nobody wants to sit on damp ground.
Exactly. They are debating whether there are enough dry ones for the participants to sit on because the ground around the Takakura shrine is slick with dew.
And then seamlessly the conversation shifts to seating arrangements.
Yes, they get into this intense debate about the structural integrity of the small folding chairs versus the larger camping chairs.
Trying to ensure nobody trips into the campfire while their eyes are closed.
Right. It forces a really grounding effect on the whole thing.
You are confronted with the mundane mechanics of mysticism.
And there is a 15-minute audio check for a group of participants affectionately named the Seven Angels.
The audio check is amazing.
The organizers are running around in the dark making sure the Seven Angels have the correct microphone inputs.
They are terrified that a cable's going to get unplugged mid-chant and blow out the amplifier.
I found it weirdly comforting, to be honest.
How so?
Well, it grounds this ethereal floating ceremony in very sweaty, stressed out human reality.
You know, we often suffer from an illusion when we study religious or spiritual gatherings.
What kind of illusion?
We look back at historical texts, or we walk into a massive cathedral, and we only really engage with the high theology.
We just see the finished product.
Exactly. We see the final, polished product of the belief system. But anthropology tells us a very different story.
Which is?
The foundation of any ritual space, literally anywhere in the world, is built on shared chores.
Oh, I see. Like, you can't have a communion without someone baking the bread and sweeping the floor.
Right. That division between the mundane task of folding a towel and the sacred task of opening a cosmic portal.
Yeah.
That is a completely modern, industrialized invention.
Because we like to categorize things now.
Exactly. Work is work, spirituality is spirituality. But if we look at the foundational roots of animism,
Which is what they are doing here.
right, which is the bedrock of what they are attempting to tap into at Mount Fuji, that division simply does not exist.
Give me an example of how that functions in a traditional Japanese context.
Okay, consider the daily operations of a traditional Shinto shrine. The priests and the miko, the shrine maidens, they spend an enormous portion of their day sweeping the gravel pathways with bamboo brooms.
It's a lot of sweeping.
It is. But that sweeping isn't just landscaping. It is an active, physical form of purification.
Oh, wow.
The act of cleaning the physical space is intrinsically linked to purifying the spiritual space. It's part of the ritual container.
So the organizers stressing about the microphone cables aren't distracted from the spiritual goal.
Not at all.
They are actively constructing the baseline reality required for the spiritual goal to happen.
Exactly. Because without the dry towels, without the working amplifier, the participants are physically uncomfortable.
And if they are cold and damp, their biological focus remains trapped in their shivering bodies.
You hit the nail on the head. By managing the mundane logistics, the organizers are freeing up the cognitive and emotional bandwidth of the participants.
Allowing them to actually focus on the metaphysical concepts being introduced.
The mundane chores are the chalice that holds the sacred experience.
I love that. The chalice that holds the sacred experience.
It really reframes how you look at the frantic mic checks.
It really does. So with the chalice prepared, the towels distributed, and the microphone cables secured, the actual theology of the night is finally introduced.
Main event.
And the speaker at the campfire doesn't waste any time. He immediately grounds the entire gathering in the specific date, August 8th.
The Lion's Gate.
The Lion's Gate.
This is where the synthesis of global ideas becomes highly visible.
Yeah, because we are standing at a Shinto shrine in Japan, but the cosmology being broadcast over those carefully checked microphones originates in a completely different hemisphere.
It's a total geographic leap.
The speaker explains to the crowd that August 8th is a massive cosmic bottleneck.
A bottleneck.
Yeah, he claims that on this exact day, the star Sirius, the sun, and the earth fall into a perfect straight-line alignment. He tells the gathered crowd that this alignment creates a funnel, and pure cosmic information and energy pours down from Sirius through the Earth's atmosphere and directly into the human spine.
Let's pull that apart because there's a lot there.
Please do.
The concept of the Lion's Gate portal opening on August 8th is actually a cornerstone of modern New Age Western astrology.
Okay, so it's Western.
Yes. And the numerology of 8 is highly prioritized because the number 8, when turned on its side, is the mathematical symbol for infinity.
Ah, right. It's a just boundless energy and a looping, continuous flow of cosmic power.
Exactly.
But what does the star Sirius have to do with August in Japan? Sirius is the dog star, right? The brightest star in the night sky.
It is. And the mythology attached to Sirius here is entirely imported from ancient Egypt.
Wait, Egypt?
Yep. Stripped of its original context and repackaged for the internet age.
How did it work in ancient Egypt?
In ancient Egyptian astronomy, the heliacal rising is Sirius.
Heliacal rise.
That's the moment when the star becomes visible in the eastern sky, just before sunrise.
Oh, got it.
That occurred in late summer. And this astronomical event was incredibly important because it reliably predicted the annual flooding of the Nile River.
Which they needed for their crops.
Right, it brought the fertile silt needed for their agriculture.
So to the ancient Egyptians, Sirius physically brought life, water, and abundance.
Yes. They associated Sirius with the goddess Isis.
Okay.
Makes sense. But this localized, highly specific agricultural marker has been lifted by modern esoteric movements and transformed into a global spiritual portal.
I see.
And it has absolutely zero roots in the traditional Japanese or Shinto calendar system.
None at all. But the Japanese calendar has to have some astronomical markers.
Oh, it does, but they are historically lunisolar.
Lunisolar, meaning based on the moon and sun.
Yes, heavily influenced by Chinese agricultural cycles and seasonal shifts, like the solstices or the equinoxes.
So August 8th doesn't mean anything in Shinto.
August 8th, as a fixed, magical solar gateway tied to Sirius, is a complete anomaly in traditional Japanese shrine ritual. It is a modern, globalized import.
That makes the speaker's job pretty tough then. He knows he has to bridge that gap.
He absolutely has to.
He has this massive imported Egyptian Western astrology concept, and he needs to anchor it to the dirt they are sitting on at Mount Fuji.
And the way he attempts to do this is fascinating.
Right. He attempts to do this by introducing a very specific text. He tells the crowd about an ancient document called the Miyashita Monjo.
The Miyashita Monjo. This introduces a critical layer of alternative history to the gathering.
He claims that according to this text, there are Enshin Shichibyo,
The 7 shrines.
right? The 7 shrines scattered around the base of the mountain. And he claims that the Takakura shrine, where they are currently sitting, is one of them.
Setting the stage.
Exactly. He says these shrines were used in deep antiquity for the enthronement rituals of the emperors.
It is a very deliberate move on his part.
Because it makes them feel special.
Well, by referencing the Miyashita Monjo, he is validating the physical space of the ritual.
Oh, I see.
He is telling the participants, we aren't just sitting in the woods. We are sitting at the ancient nexus of imperial spiritual power.
I dug into the history of the Miyashita Monjo after listening to this audio.
And what did you find?
It is a really fascinating piece of literature, primarily because modern Japanese historians almost universally classify it as an apocrypha.
Yes, the specific Japanese term used in the literature is Goshon.
Goshon, a fake chronicle or a forged document.
The Miyashita Monjo is perhaps one of the most famous examples of this phenomenon in Japan.
It's essentially ancient, politically motivated fan fiction.
That is a great way to describe it.
Because the accepted orthodox historical chronicles of Japan are the Kojiki and the Nihon Shoki.
Compiled in the 8th century by the Yamato court.
Right, and those texts establish the imperial lineage, starting with Emperor Jimmu in the Kansai region, near modern-day Nara and Kyoto.
The official story.
But the Miyashita Monjo claims an entirely different reality. It claims there was a massive, incredibly advanced, prehistoric imperial dynasty centered right here.
At the base of Mount Fuji.
At the base of Mount Fuji, thousands of years before the Yamato court existed.
These Goshon texts usually surface during periods of intense political or social transition.
Like when?
When a central authority, like the Tokugawa shogunate, or later the Meiji government, attempts to consolidate power and standardize religion.
The marginalized regions push back.
Exactly. Texts like the Miyashita Monjo emerge to legitimize local power structures.
They argue that the official state narrative is a lie.
Yes, and that the true, older, more pure spiritual authority resides locally.
But the speaker at the campfire takes this fake chronicle and pushes it even further through a linguistic blender.
Oh, the linguistic leaps in this audio are wild.
They really are. He says that the Japanese word for emperor, tenno, actually translates to dragon.
That is a staggering linguistic distortion.
I thought so. Can you break down the actual etymology?
Sure. So, the term tenno translates very strictly to heavenly sovereign.
Okay, heavenly sovereign.
The first character, ten, means heaven or sky. The second character, no or o, means king or sovereign.
Where did the term come from?
The term was adopted from Chinese imperial terminology to elevate the status of the Japanese ruler to a cosmic level.
Implying a mandate from the heavens.
Exactly.
Where on earth is he getting dragon from then?
He is conflating symbolic association with literal etymology.
Meaning?
In East Asian imperial mythology, the dragon is the ultimate symbol of the emperor's power.
Right, like you see dragons on all the art.
The emperor's robes feature dragons. The imperial throne is often referred to as the dragon throne.
So it's heavily associated.
The dragon is an auspicious creature that controls water, rain, and storms. which are essential elements for an agricultural empire.
But the word Tenno itself absolutely does not mean dragon.
No, not at all.
And he doesn't stop there.
He keeps going.
He claims that the enthronement ceremony for this heavenly sovereign, a ritual called sokui, literally means ascension. He actually uses the English word ascension right there in the Japanese audio.
I heard that.
He is pitching the idea that an imperial coronation wasn't a political event, but a magical, multi-dimensional upgrade where a human becomes a cosmic dragon.
Well, soku simply means to ascend to the throne or to take the position.
Very mundane.
Very. Soku means to accede or approach, and I means rank, throne, or position. It is a highly formal administrative term.
Not a sci-fi energy upgrade.
No. Translating it to the New Age concept of ascension.
Which means vibrating at a higher frequency.
Right. In modern esoteric circles, it means upgrading your spiritual DNA to vibrate at a higher dimensional frequency. That is a massive anachronistic leap.
This is exactly where my inner cynic was just flashing red.
I don't blame you.
We have an imported Egyptian astronomical myth tied to a modern Western numerology trend, anchored by a known forged document, validated by completely inaccurate linguistic translations.
It is a lot to take in.
If you are building a religious or spiritual movement, why construct your foundation out of materials that can be so easily debunked by a quick internet search?
It's a fair question.
Yeah.
But you have to view it through the lens of psychological utility rather than historical rigor.
Psychological utility.
Remember, we discussed the concept of bricolage earlier.
The construction of something new from a diverse range of available things.
Exactly. For the modern spiritual seeker, traditional institutional religion is often perceived as a dead end.
Because it's too rigid.
Because it's a closed system. Think about Orthodox Shinto, managed by the Association of Shinto Shrines.
Okay.
It is highly structured. It is intimately tied to the Japanese state, to formal hereditary lineages of priests, and to incredibly strict rules of protocol.
It's not very flexible.
Not at all. If you are a modern person feeling isolated, burned out, and disconnected from meaning, Orthodox religion rarely offers a direct, personalized, ecstatic connection to the divine.
It's more observational.
It offers you a highly prescribed passive role as a congregant. You observe the ritual, you do not embody it.
You stand behind the rope, you toss your 100-yen coin into the wooden box, you bow twice, clap twice, bow once, and you go home.
Exactly.
It's polite, but it's not exactly a soul-shattering cosmic upgrade.
Precisely. The structure actively maintains a barrier between the layperson and the divine.
And the fake chronicles help them break that barrier.
By utilizing Goshon texts like the Miyashita Monjo, these seekers grant themselves permission to bypass that orthodox power structure entirely.
So they are kind of rebelling.
The fact that the text is considered a forgery by academic historians is actually a feature, not a bug.
How is being a fake a feature?
Because it feeds the narrative of suppression.
Oh, I see. Like the man is keeping the truth hidden.
Exactly. They can argue, well, of course the Orthodox historians call it a fake. They're the agents of the central authority trying to hide the real truth.
Embracing the forbidden text is an inherently anti-authoritarian act.
Right. By blending the Miyashita Monjo with Sirius and Lionsgate, they are creating a bespoke cosmology where they are the protagonists.
They aren't worried about peer-reviewed historical accuracy?
No. The myth acts as a psychological key to unlock a specific state of consciousness. The fake history grants them access to a very real feeling of empowerment.
The history isn't a textbook, it's a tool.
Exactly.
The truth of the text is totally irrelevant to its function in the ritual.
That is exactly the point.
And this deep desire to bypass orthodox power structures leads directly into the speaker's next major monologue at the campfire.
This is where things get really interesting.
It is, because this is the moment in the audio where I actually sat up in my chair.
Me too.
After walking us through this labyrinth of fake chronicles and bad translations, the speaker suddenly pivots to a critique of world religions.
And shockingly, he hits on a profound, academically verifiable historical reality.
I was so surprised. The narrative takes a sudden, sharp turn from pseudo-history into highly astute comparative religious anthropology.
It really does.
The speaker stops talking about Sirius and the Emperor's dragon DNA. He looks at the crowd and starts talking about the Abrahamic religions.
Judaism, Christianity, Islam.
Yeah. He claims that these global monotheistic systems systematically demonized the serpent.
He points specifically to the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden.
Right. He argues that the serpent wasn't just a random villain. He says it was cast as the ultimate evil to intentionally suppress ancient earth and goddess wisdom.
which he refers to as Gaia.
Exactly.
He basically frames the development of Western monotheism as a deliberate ideological war against indigenous nature worship.
Yes. He says that global crusader-type movements actively wiped out stone worship, water worship, and matriarchal belief systems all over the world.
A sweeping historical claim.
And then he brings that thesis right back to the Japanese dirt they are sitting on.
Bring it back local.
He claims that the major Orthodox Japanese shrines are actually, secretly, goddess shrines.
Which is a huge claim.
He says that ancient Japan was deeply matriarchal and animistic, but the Yamato court came in and violently reorganized the spiritual landscape.
The Yamato court being the centralizing patriarchal power that eventually formed the accepted imperial line.
Yes. He claims they placed male deities at the front of these shrines to hide the original goddesses in the back.
This is the critical aha moment of our analysis.
Why is that?
Because while we just spent considerable time dismantling his astronomical and linguistic claims, this new thesis regarding the suppression of the goddess is highly accurate.
Let's validate this, starting with the Abrahamic claim. The serpent in the Garden of Eden as a tool of ideological suppression.
From a comparative religious history standpoint, the transition in the ancient Near East from polytheistic animism to strict patriarchal monotheism was not a gentle philosophical debate.
It was messy.
It was a systematic, often violent replacement.
Okay.
If we look at the ancient Levantine and Canaanite cultures that predated and surrounded early Israelite religion, we see a heavy emphasis on fertility cults.
And the serpent was a central figure in those cults.
Absolutely. In many of these ancient systems, the serpent was a profoundly positive symbol.
Really? Because we usually think of snakes as scary.
Well, because it sheds its skin, it was venerated as a symbol of rebirth, immortality, and hidden earth wisdom.
Well, that makes total sense.
It was intimately associated with the great mother goddesses, such as Ashra.
Wow.
There's even archaeological evidence and biblical references to the Nehushtan, a sacred bronze serpent on a pole that was worshipped in the early Jerusalem temple before later reforms destroy it.
So the authors of the Genesis narrative didn't just pick a snake out of a hat when they needed a villain to tempt Eve.
No, not at all. By making the serpent the author of humanity's downfall, and by making the woman, Eve, the vector for that temptation.
They were making a point.
They were essentially writing a devastating polemic against the surrounding goddess-worshipping cultures.
That is wild.
They were taking the primary sacred symbol of the old matriarchal earth religion and turning it into the literal devil of the new patriarchal sky god religion.
That is a heavy, verified historical reality.
It is.
What about his claim regarding Japan? That the major Shinto shrines are secretly fronting for older hidden goddesses suppressed by the Yamato court.
That is also highly accurate, and it taps into one of the most fascinating dynamics of Japanese religious anthropology.
Okay, tell me more.
The Jumon and early Yayoi periods of ancient Japan.
Before the centralization of the state.
Right. They show strong evidence of matriarchal social structures and female shamanic leadership.
Are there any famous examples?
The most famous example is Queen Himiko, a shaman queen recorded in ancient Chinese chronicles who ruled the region of Yamatai through spiritual authority.
But the Yamato court changed that dynamic.
The Yamato court was a centralizing militaristic power. As they expanded their control over the archipelago, they didn't just conquer territories physically.
They conquered them spiritually.
Yes. They developed a hierarchy of deities. The gods associated with the Yamato imperial line, like the sun goddess Amaterasu, were classified as Amatsukami.
Amatsukami, the heavenly deities.
Exactly. And the indigenous localized gods of the conquered lands were classified as Kunitsukami.
The earthly deities.
Right.
And the speaker in the audio specifically names 3 major shrine systems to prove his point about the goddesses being hidden.
He does.
Let's look at the Japanese phrases he uses here because they are crucial.
The first one he brings up is Usa Hachiman.
Okay.
This is the head shrine of the Hachiman faith, located in Oita Prefecture. Hachiman is one of the most widespread and powerful deities in Japan, traditionally associated with the Emperor Oji.
What is Hachiman known for?
Over time, Hachiman became heavily venerated as a god of archery and war. He became the tutelary deity of the samurai class.
Very male, very martial, very patriarchal.
Extremely.
So Hachiman is the guy the Yamato court puts on the billboard out front.
Exactly. But if you look at the actual layout of the inner sanctum, the Hondan, at Osa Hachiman, there are 3 main seats of power.
And who is in the middle?
The central, highly mysterious second seat is not occupied by Hachiman himself. It is dedicated to a deity known simply as Himegami.
Can you break down Himegami for us?
Sure. Himegam translates to princess or goddess. Gami is a phonetic shift of kami, meaning deity or spirit. So literally, goddess.
Just goddess. Do we know who she is?
Her specific identity is heavily debated, but historians widely agree that Himegami represents the ancient indigenous matriarchal clan deities of that specific geographic region.
Whose worship deeply predated the arrival of the Yamato-sanctioned god of war.
Exactly.
The goddess is sitting right there in the center, physically overshadowed by the military god placed next to her.
That's a perfect way to visualize it.
What was the second shrine he mentioned?
He brings up the Inari shrines. This is perhaps the most visually recognizable shrine system in the world.
The red gates.
Yes. When you think of the thousands of bright red torii gates at Fushimi Inari in Kyoto, or the stone fox statues guarding the entrances, that is the Inari faith.
In popular culture, Inari is sometimes depicted as an old man carrying sheaves of rice.
But who is actually inside the shrine?
The foundational core deity enshrined at Fushimi Inari is Ukanomi Tama no Kami.
Ukanomi Tama no Kami.
And while the iconography has shifted over centuries, Ukanomi Tama no Kami is classically worshipped as a female deity of grain, agriculture, and life-sustaining fertility.
The very lifeblood of the soil itself.
Another goddess running the show from the soil up.
Exactly. And finally, he mentions Kumano Hongu Taisha.
Where is that?
This is deep in the rugged, rain-soaked mountains of the Ki Peninsula in Wakayama Prefecture. It is an incredibly powerful pilgrimage site with massive trees and cascading rivers.
Who is worshipped there?
The main deity worshipped there is often syncretized with male figures, particularly Susanoo, the wild storm god of Yamato mythology.
The brother of the sun goddess. Very famous, very powerful male figure.
But the ancient original name of the deity, preserved in the deepest esoteric traditions of Kumano, is Kitsumiko no Kami.
Kitsumiko no Kami.
Yes. While later Orthodox theology tried to masculinize or obscure this figure, religious historians point to the linguistic structure of the name.
And the deep nature worship roots.
Right. They used that to argue that this was originally an ancient female earth and water deity.
Okay, the analogy I keep coming back to when listening to this is a hostile corporate takeover.
A corporate takeover. Let's hear it.
Okay, so you have these ancient local mom-and-pop operations running out of the deep forests. They are deeply connected to the local water table, the specific soil of the valley, the local weather patterns.
The grassroots level.
Right. They are led by the founders, these indigenous goddess energy figures.
Yeah.
Then the Yamato court
This massive, centralizing multinational corporation.
comes in, they buy up the land, they want to standardize the brand across the entire country, so they install their own CEO.
The male, Orthodox, martial deity.
On the billboard out front.
They basically franchise the spirituality.
Exactly. But the multinational corporation realizes they can't actually fire the original founder because she's the only one who knows how to make the crops grow in that specific soil.
The people's connection to her is too deep.
So if you look at the actual org chart inside the building, the original founder, the goddess, is still in the back room, quietly running the actual day-to-day operations of the harvest and the earth.
That is an exceptionally accurate way to visualize the integration of Kunitsukami and Amatsukami.
It really helped me wrap my head around it.
The Yamato court enveloped the local deities rather than eradicating them. They placed the imperial deities in the positions of official, visible power and relegated the earthly, indigenous deities,
Many of whom were female.
to secondary, hidden, or mysterious roles within the same shrine complex.
So when the speaker at our Mount Fuji gathering tells the crowd that they need to bypass the orthodox structures to reconnect with the suppressed goddess, the earth, the water, and the stone.
He is actually tapping into a very legitimate, historically verifiable trauma within the evolution of Japanese religion.
He is. We can absolutely critique his reliance on forged documents like the Miyashita Monjo, but we must acknowledge the brilliance of his underlying thesis.
He recognizes that the foundation of ancient Shinto was deeply animistic, heavily matriarchal, and intimately tied to snakes, water, and stones.
He senses that something vital, something raw and connected to the earth was paved over by institutional religion and political centralization.
And the entire purpose of this Lion's Gate gathering is to dig it back up.
And digging it back up isn't just an intellectual exercise for them.
Not at all.
They don't just sit around the fire and philosophize. To access this hidden goddess energy, they use their bodies, they hike.
The field notes detail a rigorous daytime pilgrimage through the mountains leading up to the night ceremony.
But the specific route they choose for this hike,
This part is great.
it involves a linguistic leap that makes the Tenno to Dragon translation look totally reasonable.
Yes. We move from the solid ground of religious anthropology back into the highly creative, highly subjective realm of geographic wordplay.
The participants spend the daylight hours hiking around a specific mountain located near Mount Fuji. It's called Mount Shakushi.
The Shakudi.
Now, Japan is 70% mountainous terrain. There are thousands of peaks they could have chosen to prepare for a cosmic ascension. Why Mount Shakushi?
Because they are applying a global map to a local topography.
The speaker explains to the hikers that they are taking Indian tantric concepts and mapping them directly onto the Japanese landscape.
A bold move.
He tells them they are looking for the physical manifestation of the Kundalini.
Let's define the terms for the audience.
Go ahead.
In certain tantric and yogic traditions originating in India, Kundalini is described as a primal, powerful, serpent-like energy that lies dormant, coiled at the base of the human spine.
And the objective is to wake it up.
Exactly. The objective of many intense esoteric practices is to awaken this serpent. Once awakened, the Kundalini travels up the central energetic channel of the body,
The Sushumna.
piercing and activating the various chakras until it reaches the crown of the head, resulting in a state of profound enlightenment or cosmic union.
And what triggers this serpent to wake up?
The awakening is triggered by Shakti.
Shakti.
In Hindu cosmology, Shakti is the primordial cosmic energy, the dynamic force that moves through the entire universe.
Okay.
And crucially for our speaker's thesis, Shakti is personified as the great divine mother, the goddess.
Okay, so we have the serpent energy and we have the goddess energy.
It fits together perfectly.
It fits perfectly like a glove with his earlier historical thesis about suppressed matriarchies and demonized snakes. It's a beautifully consistent theology.
Very tight.
But how does he connect an ancient Sanskrit concept to a random mountain in Yamanashi Prefecture?
Through the sheer force of phonetic coincidence.
He tells the group that the reason they must hike Mount Shakushi to awaken this energy is because the word Shakushi sounds very similar to the word Shakti.
So similar.
Therefore, in his cosmological framework, Mount Shakushi must literally be the geographic epicenter of goddess energy in Japan.
Shakushi to Shakti.
The phonetic leap is just staggering to me.
It really is.
Let's look at the Japanese text. Shakushi literally translates to ladle or scoop.
Yes.
It's the word for the wooden spoon you use to serve rice or dish out miso soup. It has absolutely zero etymological, historical, or cultural connection to the ancient Sanskrit concept of Shakti.
None.
I said to my producer earlier, it's like saying you are traveling to the city of Boston to connect with your inner boss. It is a pun masquerading as profound theology.
It is a massive etymological stretch, there's no denying that.
Right.
But while we can chuckle at the linguistic butchery, we have to look deeper at why it works for the people hiking the mountain.
Okay, why does it work?
It is a textbook example of apophenia.
Apophenia.
The human brain's tendency to perceive meaningful connections between completely unrelated things. Our brains are hardwired to seek patterns.
We want the universe to make sense. We want it to be connected.
Exactly. To the participants of this gathering, the globe is not divided by arbitrary political borders or separate linguistic families that evolved independently.
It's all one thing.
In their worldview, the Earth is a single, unified grid of spiritual energy. It's a holistic system. Think of it like a giant cosmic circuit board.
So if a component exists in one part of the board, it has to exist everywhere.
Yes. If the energy of Shakti is a universal truth in India, then its geographic energetic equivalent must exist in Japan.
The universe wouldn't just leave the Japanese archipelago out of the circuit.
Exactly. So when these seekers hear the local mundane name Shakushi, their pattern-seeking brains light up.
They aren't looking for a rigorous linguistic history lesson.
They are looking for a geographic anchor for their belief. The phonetic similarity is all the permission they need to map the global concept onto local landscape.
They are mapping their internal spiritual landscape onto the external physical geography.
Perfectly said.
If it sounds right, feels right, and the feeling becomes the reality of the hike.
And this isn't the only example of alternative history driven by wordplay that we found in the sources.
Oh man, there's another conversation noted in the campfire transcripts that is just incredible.
Ah, yes. The Waku Waku theory.
Listener, the Waku Waku theory is an absolute masterpiece of chill, positive historical revisionism.
It really is.
One of the participants is sitting around the fire, and he starts holding court about ancient Middle Eastern geography.
Okay.
He mentions that in some old Islamic or Arabic texts, there is a legendary mythical island located at the extreme eastern edge of the world, past China, past the known oceans.
Right.
This island is referred to as the island of Wak Wak.
And this participant is actually touching on a real historical mystery here.
He is.
Arab geographers from the 9th and 10th centuries, such as Ibn Khordad Bey, did write extensively about a place called Al-Wak-Wak.
What did they say about it?
It was a fantastical land at the edge of their known maps. The texts associated with islands where the trees bore human-like fruit that cried out wak-wak, or an island ruled entirely by women, or a land incredibly rich in gold.
So it's very mythical.
Very. The exact geographic location of Wak-Wak has been fiercely debated by historians for centuries. Some argue it referred to Madagascar, others point to Sumatra or Borneo.
And Japan.
Some indeed has speculated it was a distorted rumor of Japan reaching the Middle East via the Silk Road.
Okay, so the foundation of the story is real.
Sort of, yes.
But the participant at the campfire doesn't stop at historical speculation. He breaks down the language.
Oh no.
He notes that in ancient Chinese and Japanese chronicles, the Japanese archipelago was referred to as Wakuku.
Wa being an ancient name for Japan, and Koku meaning country.
That part is historically true. But then he takes a massive, joyous leap.
Here it comes.
In modern Japanese, the onomatopoeia for excitement, joy, and a trembling, happy heart is waku waku.
I see the trajectory of this argument.
He claims to the people around the fire that the Middle Eastern term wak wak proves that ancient global travelers visited the Japanese islands, felt the incredible high-vibration, joyous energy of the land, and named it the land of Waku Waku.
The land of joy.
Yes.
That is a highly creative interpretation of 9th century Arabic geography.
I read that transcript and I experienced a severe internal conflict.
How so?
On one hand, I felt a deep, agonizing cynicism at the complete lack of linguistic methodology.
Naturally.
But on the other hand, I felt total, unabashed admiration for the absolute confidence of the claim. It is so intensely positive. Who doesn't want to live in the land of Waku Waku?
It perfectly encapsulates the ethos of the entire gathering. Facts are malleable. The feeling is absolute.
Our feeling is absolute.
If connecting the Arabic wak-wak to the ancient wakuku to the modern emotion of waku-waku makes you feel a deeper, more joyful connection to the dirt you are sitting on, then in the context of this ritual space, it becomes a functional truth.
A functional truth.
The purpose of the campfire story isn't education, it's elevation. It serves to elevate the participants' state of mind, preparing them for the peak of the ceremony.
And elevated they are. By the time midnight approaches, the geography has been mapped, the goddess energy has been acknowledged, and the cosmic grid has been activated by joyous wordplay.
The stage is fully set.
It is time for the actual ritual performance to begin under the full moon, and the audio of this segment is spectacular.
The soundtrack to this ascension is an incredibly dense, layered wall of sound.
The acoustic environment of a ritual is never accidental, is it?
No, sound is a physical force. It vibrates through the body. The music here is engineered to induce very specific psychological and physiological states.
The sources detail a wildly eclectic playlist that builds over several hours. It starts with the foundational chant.
Okay, the chant.
The organizer takes the microphone and leads the group in a continuous looping vocal chant of just 2 Japanese words. Arigato and Aishiteru, thank you and I love you.
It's a fascinating choice because it utilizes the power of repetition.
What does that do?
Neurologically, engaging in a simple, repetitive vocalization begins to suppress the default mode network in the brain.
The default mode network.
That's the area responsible for our ego, our constant internal monologue, our anxieties about the past and future.
Oh, wow.
By looping simple positive affirmations like gratitude and love, the chant is designed to quiet the analytical mind and drop the participants into a state of pure, present emotional resonance.
Over and over, Arigato, Aishiteru. The crowd joins in and it becomes this low humming bass line in the forest.
It sets the frequency.
Then we have the return of the 7 angels, the participants with the meticulously checked microphones.
They finally get to perform.
They are tasked with ringing small, high-pitched handbells over the chant.
Okay.
The speaker claims that when the 7 angels ring these bells, it acts as a sonic trigger to bring about the Messiah era.
The Messiah era.
But he specifically clarifies his theology here. He says there isn't just one Messiah coming out of the sky to save everyone. In this new era, everyone is the Messiah. Every single person sitting around the fire has awakened their inner divinity.
That concept represents the quintessential New Age democratization of the divine.
Democratization of the divine. I like that.
The hierarchical, external savior model of the Abrahamic religions is completely discarded. There is no external figure coming to rescue humanity.
We save ourselves.
Instead, enlightenment is distributed. The power to heal and transform the world resides within the individual, activated by the acoustic trigger of the bells.
And while the bells are ringing and the crowd is chanting, a DJ steps up.
The DJ.
The field notes mention he has 30 years of experience, and you can hear it in the mix. He starts looping a heavy, hypnotic, driving beat.
Building the energy.
And over that beat, he overlays a traditional Mahayana Buddhist mantra on Arabhaza Nade.
The layering of traditions here is just incredible.
Oh, where is that mantra from?
On Arabhaza Nade is the Japanese phonetic pronunciation of the Sanskrit mantra Om Arapakana The.
Okay.
That is the central mantra of Manjushri, known in Japanese Buddhism as Manju Bosatsu.
Who is Manju Bosatsu?
Manjushri is the bodhisattva of transcendent wisdom. In Buddhist iconography, he is often depicted sitting on a lion.
Oh, which inadvertently ties back into their Lionsgate theme.
Exactly. And he wields a flaming sword in his right hand.
A flaming sword.
The sword isn't for physical violence. It is a metaphysical weapon used to cut through the darkness of ignorance, delusion, and duality.
Very powerful imagery.
Chanting his mantra is traditionally believed to enhance memory, cultivate brilliant insight, and sharpen the intellect so it can perceive the true nature of reality.
So the acoustic space now contains a looping Japanese chant of emotional gratitude, the high-pitched New Age angel bells signaling a democratized messiah, and a heavy, driving Tibetan mantra dedicated to slicing through ignorance with a flaming sword of wisdom.
All happening simultaneously.
It is a massive sensory overload designed to break down the boundaries of the self.
It definitely would.
But the absolute peak of the musical performance, the climax of the night, comes from the lead singer.
The singer.
She steps up to the microphone to perform a song titled Inori no Shima, which translates to Island of Prayer.
Okay.
And the backing track for her vocals isn't just synthesizers or drums. The DJ mixes in real, actual hydrophone recordings of humpback whale songs.
The Japanese term noted in the audio is zatokuji.
Humpback whales.
They're incorporating the haunting, echoing voices of the deep ocean into a fire ceremony occurring high on the side of a mountain.
And before she sings, she speaks to the crowd about the biology of the whale.
A little science lesson.
Yeah. She explains that these zatokuji don't just make random clicks and groans. They sing in complex, structured four-bar melodies.
That's true.
And she notes a fascinating scientific reality. These melodies aren't static, they evolve.
How so?
A pod of whales will sing a specific song one year, and by the next year, the song will have subtly changed, evolved, and the entire pod across the ocean basin will have learned the new variation.
Amazing.
She frames this as a form of ancient natural culture and communication that humans are entirely deaf to.
Which ties beautifully back to the animistic, Gaia-centric roots they were trying to reach.
Bringing the ocean to the mountain.
By bringing the whale songs onto the mountain, she is expanding the definition of the community, holding the ritual.
The community is no longer just human.
Exactly. It includes the vast, non-human intelligence of the oceans, the scientific reality of how whale songs transmit culturally across the Pacific Ocean.
Literally passing complex sonic information from pod to pod.
Yes. It mirrors the cosmic information they believe is funneling down from Sirius.
I have to admit, when I first looked at this playlist, I thought it was completely absurd.
It does seem random at first glance.
It's like a Spotify algorithm suffered a glitch and created a mix of every spiritual tradition on Earth, threw in a marine biology lecture, and hit shuffle. But listening to the audio, it works. It creates this incredibly dense, emotional wall of transcendent sound.
It works because it is the ultimate acoustic expression of the one-world philosophy that underpins the entire New Age movement.
The idea that all religions are just different paths up the exact same mountain.
Precisely. In this syncretic worldview, there is only one divine center, one ultimate source of cosmic energy.
So it all blends together.
If you truly believe that, then Tibetan mantras, Japanese expressions of gratitude, and the hydrophone recordings of Zatokuji aren't contradictory.
They aren't clashing cultures or separate biological domains.
They are simply different frequencies, different octaves of the exact same cosmic vibration.
The speaker explicitly references this concept earlier in the night when he talks about the music of the spheres.
Ah, the ancient philosophical concept that the universe itself makes a sound based on planetary proportions.
Yes. By layering the Tibetan, the Japanese, and the whales over a rhythmic beat, they are attempting to recreate a microcosm of that universal harmony right there in the forest.
They are synthesizing a global soundtrack for a global ascension.
It's grand, it's cosmic, it's soaring. The audio at this point is incredibly moving.
I can imagine.
But here is where our deep dive takes a hard, sudden left turn into absolute grounded reality.
My favorite part.
Because the most fascinating part of this music segment isn't the biology of the whales, and it isn't the history of the mantras.
No, it's not.
It's the incredibly human, shockingly messy backstory of the woman who is actually holding the microphone and singing the songs.
The story of the singer. It is perhaps the most revealing and structurally important part of the entire transcript.
I gleefully recounted this story to my team when I first read the notes, because it shatters every preconceived notion of what a spiritual leader is supposed to look like.
Completely.
So the singer, right before she performs her final ethereal song called A,
Which means blue.
dedicated to the blue skies and oceans. Before she sings, she stops the music. She stands in front of the campfire looking at this crowd of seekers, and she tells them exactly how she ended up at Mount Fuji.
She shares her origin story.
And her journey does not begin in a pristine ashram or a mountain temple.
No, it begins in a gray, fluorescent-lit cubicle.
She tells the crowd that just a few years prior, she was working a standard, soul-crushing corporate office job in Japan.
Very common.
And the reason she quit her job to seek spirituality wasn't because she had a sudden, glorious flash of divine enlightenment.
Why did she quit?
She quit because she was chronically, hopelessly terrible at math.
A profoundly relatable, inciting incident.
She confesses to the crowd that one day at the office, she was supposed to process an invoice or a payment for 1 million yen.
Okay, 1 million yen.
But because she was so exhausted, so stressed, and generally bad at numbers, her finger slipped on the keyboard.
Oh no.
She accidentally added a 0 and typed 10 million yen.
A massive, catastrophic corporate error.
In that moment of panic, she realized she was entirely miserable, totally incompetent at her assigned role in the capitalist machine, and completely burned out.
So she quit.
Japan has a very specific, intense relationship with corporate burnout, doesn't it?
It does. The culture of overwork is so severe, there is a recognized term for death by overwork, karoshi. The pressure to perform flawlessly within the corporate hierarchy is immense. The structure essentially broke her.
So she does what many burned out, broken people do. She seeks an escape.
Right.
She decides she needs a meditation and yoga retreat to find her inner peace. She packs her bags and flies to India.
She is expecting the full, cinematic eat, pray, love experience.
Exactly. She expects to do some gentle stretching in the sunrise, drink spice chai, meditate by a river, and achieve perfect, floating serenity.
It is not what she signed up for.
Not even close to a spa vacation. She accidentally enrolled herself in a hardcore traditional Ayurvedic clinic,
Wow.
specifically a panchakarma detox.
Oh my. Panchakarma is a profoundly rigorous physical purification process.
She tells the crowd the harrowing details. There was no gentle yoga. There was almost no meditation. Instead, the doctor subjected her to severe dietary restrictions and physical purges.
Panchakarma involves drinking copious amounts of clarified butter or ghee to loosen toxins.
Followed by induced vomiting, or purgatives. She tells the campfire that her entire diet consisted of boiled wild weeds that the doctor literally picked from the dirt around the clinic.
That sounds intense.
She was starving, constantly purging, and physically miserable for weeks.
Well, Ayurvedic medicine operates on the principle of balancing the doshas.
The energies of the body.
Right. When a system is as severely compromised by stress as hers was, the treatment is not gentle relaxation. It is a systematic, aggressive stripping down of the body to force a reset.
It certainly stripped her down.
The physical trauma of purging the gut biome can trigger massive destabilizing emotional releases.
Oh, because of the gut-brain connection.
Yes. The gut-brain axis, largely controlled by the vagus nerve, means that a severe physical detox is often accompanied by an equally severe psychological unspooling.
And unspool she did. The result of this grueling trip to India was not instant zen.
Not at all.
She flew back to Japan expecting to be a serene, enlightened lotus blossom, radiating peace to her former co-workers.
But
Instead, she returned with an uncontrollable volcanic well of rage. She tells the crowd she was furiously, violently angry for 6 straight months.
All the suppressed stress of the corporate job, the societal expectations of politeness, the terror of the 10 million yen mistake.
It all came up.
All the emotions she had swallowed to survive the office environment came boiling to the surface.
It got so bad that she shares a specific incident with the crowd.
The sidewalk incident.
One day, she was walking home from a part-time job in Japan, and the anger bubbling up inside her was so overwhelming she literally couldn't contain it in her physical body.
She had a physical reaction.
She started sprinting down the public sidewalk, crying hysterically and aggressively shadowboxing the air.
Literally throwing punches at the invisible ghosts of her stress.
Right there on the street. And it was so intense, so outside the norm of Japanese public behavior, that a police cruiser actually pulled over.
A police cruiser?
The officer stopped her to ask what on earth she was doing. She had to explain to a Japanese police officer, while sobbing and sweating, that she was just, quote, exercising her feelings.
The visual of that is breathtaking. It is simultaneously heartbreaking and incredibly profound.
I absolutely love that she included this detail. It completely obliterates the perfect, serene guru stereotype.
It really does.
You have this woman standing in front of a campfire holding a microphone, about to sing a transcendent song about cosmic peace and whale communication, and she freely admits to a crowd of strangers that her spiritual journey involved monumental math errors, eating literal weeds, and almost getting arrested for fighting the air on a sidewalk.
It's remarkably honest.
I have to ask you, looking at the sociology of this space, why would she share such an embarrassing, chaotic story right before trying to hold the space for a sacred ritual? Doesn't that undermine her authority?
It doesn't undermine her authority, it creates it.
Really? How so?
That specific vulnerability is the actual core appeal of these modern gatherings. It is the secret engine powering the entire movement.
How does the messiness power the ritual? Why is that appealing?
Well, consider the society she and the participants just stepped out of to be at that campfire.
Japanese corporate culture.
Modern urban society in general, but especially Japanese corporate culture, demands absolute, unyielding perfection.
You cannot make a math error.
You cannot add a zero to an invoice. You must repress your emotions. You must maintain a polite, professional facade at all times.
And you certainly cannot scream and punch the air on a public sidewalk.
You are expected to be a flawless, frictionless cog in a massive economic machine.
It's exhausting. It requires constant, crushing emotional suppression just to get through a Tuesday.
Exactly. And traditional institutional religion, with its strict orthodoxies, its pristine rituals, and its demands for moral purity, can sometimes feel like just another set of impossible standards to live up to.
Another place where you have to hide your messy, imperfect reality behind a polite bow.
But this campfire is explicitly designed to be different.
By standing up and telling that story, the singer is signaling a radical shift in the rules of engagement.
She is telling the group that this specific spiritual space allows for total messiness.
I see.
She is intentionally destroying the hierarchy of the perfect, enlightened guru and the flawed, dirty student.
She is saying the journey to the Lion's Gate, the journey to ascension, isn't a straight, pristine, glowing line of light.
It is chaotic. It involves failing at your job, making humiliating mistakes, eating weeds, and sometimes wanting to punch the universe in the face.
It grounds the entire abstract, cosmic Lion's Gate alignment in a deeply relatable, sweaty, crying human struggle.
It brings the stars down to the sidewalk.
Yes, it gives everyone listening around that fire permission to be broken. It gives them permission to be a work in progress.
If the woman currently singing with the whales used to shadowbox on the sidewalk because she couldn't handle her life, then there is room in this cosmic ascension for everyone's neuroses, everyone's failures, and everyone's burnout.
It makes the divine accessible to the damaged. That reframes everything we've looked at today. It makes the whole night make sense.
It ties it all together.
The fake history of the Miyashita Monjo, the bad linguistics of the Tenno dragon, the frantic folding of the damp towels, it's all just elaborate scaffolding.
They are building a temporary structure in the woods where people can finally stop pretending to be perfect.
Which brings us to the synthesis of our deep dive. What are we left with?
We need to pull all these threads together and ask the ultimate pragmatic question. What is this gathering actually achieving for the people sitting in the dirt?
We have covered a massive amount of ground today. We started under the full moon at a dark Shinto shrine, unpacking the mundane mechanics of setting up microphones and managing damp towels to create a ritual container.
We navigated a labyrinth of a mythology mashup, dismantling the modern astrology of the Lion's Gate and the deeply forged history of the Miyashita Monjo.
We explored the phonetic leaps of apophenia, stretching Shikushi into Shakti, and mapping Indian tantric grids onto Japanese mountains.
We discussed the joyful historical revisionism of the Waku Waku Island.
We validated the deep, accurate historical trauma of suppressed goddess worship, tracing the transition from animistic matriarchies to patriarchal monopolies, from the Canaanite serpent to the hidden himegami at Usa Hachiman.
We listened to a globally synchronized soundtrack of Tibetan mantras, grateful Japanese looping chants, and the evolving four-bar melodies of Pacific humpback whales.
And finally, we grounded all of that cosmic ambition in the deeply vulnerable, chaotic human reality of a burned-out corporate worker trying to punch her way back to peace after a grueling Ayurvedic detox.
It is a breathtakingly dense, wildly syncretic mix of ideas.
And as we noted throughout, it is incredibly easy for us, sitting here analyzing the audio and the transcripts, to fact-check the alternative history.
It's very easy to point out the etymological errors of translating Soku to Ascension and to roll our eyes at the 8 infinity numerology.
But having gone through all of it, we must recognize the genuine, profound human need that is being met in that forest.
The psychology of the event supersedes the accuracy of the event.
The people gathered around that campfire are actively stepping out of a rigid, hyper-capitalist structure that grinds them down.
They're stepping away from a society that isolates them and demands a level of perfection that is biologically unsustainable.
They're using whatever tools they have at their disposal, astrology, fake texts, whale songs, linguistic puns, to hack together a community where they are allowed to just be.
A place where they can reconnect with the natural world, with the soil, the water, and the trees, without needing an official orthodox intermediary to facilitate the connection for them.
The ritual is essentially a technology of connection.
That is a brilliant way to phrase it. The specific parts of the technology might be cobbled together from disparate, inaccurate, or forged sources, but the connection it generates within the human nervous system is demonstrably real.
It provides a psychological reset.
It absolutely does.
And that leaves us with a final, provocative thought to mull over, something that builds on the tension we've explored today between historical fact and spiritual belief.
Okay, lay it on us.
We've spent this entire deep dive proving that the foundation of their narrative is objectively flawed. The text they use is a known fake, the linguistics are demonstrably wrong, and the astronomy is entirely imported.
The objective facts of their cosmology do not hold up to even mild academic scrutiny.
But what if the facts aren't the point?
What do you mean?
If a ritual is based entirely on linguistic misunderstandings and pseudo-historical texts, but participating in that ritual successfully heals a burned-out corporate worker,
Right.
if it stops her from crying on the sidewalk and gives her the peace to sing, if it successfully reconnects a group of isolated, stressed people into a supportive, loving community,
The results speak for themselves.
if it makes them look at a dark forest and feel a sense of profound, loving awe instead of just seeing timber for harvest, does the historical truth of the myth actually matter?
It's the ultimate pragmatist dilemma regarding religion. The philosopher William James argued that the truth of a religious experience is found in its fruits, not its roots.
Exactly. Is the value of a belief found in its historical accuracy, or is it found in its utility to reduce human suffering?
Or, to put another way, if the myth heals you, is the feeling of the myth the truest thing of all?
A fascinating, difficult question to carry with us. It forces us to reevaluate how we measure the value of human belief.
It really does.
Think about it next time you look up at the night sky, whether you're looking for Sirius or just looking at the moon. Picture that scene one more time. The dense, dark forest of Mount Fuji, the red silhouette of the Torii Gate, the crackling warmth of the campfire. The cathedral they built that night wasn't made of stone. It was made of trees, moonlight, hydrophone recordings, and messy, beautiful human longing. And it worked. We'll leave you there. Until next time.